lesson today is the Illustrator Lab number 2, and we're going to cover tracing shapes, raster shapes. So if there's a file that is an icon or a logo or some kind of graphic, but it's in JPEG or PNG form, which is built out of pixels and is raster, you can convert that to more editable format using vector. You can trace over the top of these graphics using the pen tool in your shapes, much like we did with the assignment Illustrator 1. But you can also have the program do it for you. It's not great. Sometimes it's a great starting point, but it is helpful in certain situations that will, you can always go back in and modify what the computer suggested. So to do that, we're going to open, I'm going to, open or Command O, this tracing file. It's okay if it's an AI or a PDF. And you can see that there's a picture here and this happy birthday card. So if I do a Command Y, you can see that you can see all the vector art here, but this is a blank. This is because it's a raster photo that's been placed in the file. And to do that, you do File, Place over here. There's the key command. And if you had a JPEG or PNG that you wanted to place into your file, you would use Place and then navigate to it, and then it would bring it into this file. So if I select this image, you can see Image Trace pops up here, and it also is a palette under Window. Image Trace. It's checked if it's out. There's a default, and if I just click this, you can see it did an okay job, and it made things kind of black and white. So if I undo that, you also have a default kind of quick suggested options. So if we did, let's say, low fidelity photo, and you'll see it pop up here, and it would automatically do it. And if you're doing something super quick, that might be fine. You may need to tinker with it a little bit and change up the settings. So give it a second and it'll process. Limited. So we're getting there, but you can see it's kind of rough. So let's try sketched art, and you can see that's more solid black. Still kind of rough because it's guessing. And you can change your settings up a little bit. Now, the big thing with this is half of the process to make it into vector art. So if you stop here, it won't be vector art. So if I do Command Y, you'll see it's still a raster image. So once you're happy with your settings, and you can see here's the information, that's how many points there are. There's all kinds of different settings. You need to click Expand here or up here. And what that does is convert it over to vector, and you can see the blue outlines of all the shapes. And if I do Command Y to see the wireframe, you can see all the points, you can see all the edges, and not bad. So if I click off and zoom in, you can see a little rough. And let's say you want to clean this up a little bit, get rid of some extra points. You can just use your pen tool and hover over, and it'll delete some of these extra points. You may want to go in and modify the curves. Sometimes it's just better to trace over. That's a call you'd have to make. So you can click and drag to select just these. We don't need any of this extra stuff. We just need the robot face. You can click and drag an invisible rectangle over your shapes that you want. I'm going to deselect. Oops. Deselect. Or you can use this lasso tool, especially if it's kind of around things that you want, but you can't. A rectangle would also select things you don't want. So this is, a way to select just what you want more precisely. And you can just use your black arrow tool now to drag that over to here, to this happy birthday card. So I'm going to just rotate this, get it to fit in the little gear, and I'm going to shrink this down, just using the points. You can use the scale tool, but these points, these corner points, you can just hold Shift so it won't skew. You don't want to do anything like that. You want to keep it the same proportions. So you hold shift down and now you can place it in the gear. Now if I zoom in, you can then select with your white arrow, because it's grouped, it's selecting the group, everything here. So you can ungroup that, so ungroup all. And now this is independent of the stuff we want. And you can click and drag a rectangle and hit the delete button. Just remove, delete or cut is the same. You can do that. So now we've got our black image in here, and you can change the color up just by using your color palette or your color picker. If you double click on this, you'll also get a color picker with all kinds of information to fill in. You can go back to your swatches through here. There's all different kinds of ways to access changing the colors. You can also go to your appearance palette, and it's sort of like a dashboard of all the pieces that you have. So if you select something, it'll give you information. You can change the fill from this drop down. Let's change that. It'll tell you all that you need to do to make adjustments. You can add a stroke and any sort of effect that you might do, that would also appear here. So once you have your shapes colorized, you can select them again, and this time you want it to be a unit, and so you would go to group, and it's Command G. And now if you click on one part of it, the whole thing will go. Let's say you decide you want this to be red. You can use your detail and click inside the shape to select the whole shape with the white, and you can change that to red. If you click on the edge, you'll end up clicking on the line and not the shape too, and you can just click in the inside of the shape to select the whole thing, so you're not dealing with just the individual dots. So that is some practice that you can do for the tracing exercise, so you understand how that works.